the thing that I thought yesterday, as soon as the news came out, was, right, so they've sacked Dean Smith. Is it going to solve one of three things? Is it going to turn back the clock and make us have not sold Jack Grealish, the soul of the club, 10 days before the start of the season? Is it going to get us the holding midfielder that we were so desperately crying out for? And if Dean Smith had nothing to do with signing, then he's somewhat culpable. And thirdly, is it going to solve the injury crisis? And if the answer to all of those three is no, then what are we doing sacking him? Because the options that are out there instead at the minute, in my opinion, as you've just said yourself, aren't as good as what we've just had gone.
Welcome back, I suppose, if you want to be welcomed to this podcast at the moment. Doom and gloom. I've said it every week for the last few weeks. Dean Smith is unfortunately left the club.
Well, he's been sacked.
Which I think most of us here, well, all of us here agree is the wrong decision. Pretty sad, to be honest. Not great, especially after reading this statement today.
Yeah. Someone who was cutting onions when that statement got put out. Bloody hell. Unexpected, really, wasn't it? I thought he had at least a couple more games in the bank. He still hasn't had a fully fit squad to play with all season. Just as we're looking like we've got the international break, you've got an opportunity for them to come back against Brighton, put it right. Palace. There's a couple more games after there that he's very able to beat Brighton and get a bit of belief back on side. I don't think it was the right decision. I can see, obviously you can't really argue too much. You can see the stats don't lie. But looking at the market that's available at the moment, I can't see any of the names. Someone sent me a list of the bookies odds for the top 10, 15 names, and not a single name on that list I looked at and thought, I'd rather you than Dina, or I'd rather you than what we had. Roberto Martinez. No.
I think for me, the thing that I thought yesterday, as soon as the news came out, was, right, so they've sacked Dean Smith. Is it going to solve one of three things? Is it going to turn back the clock and make us have not sold Jack Grealish, the soul of the club, 10 days before the start of the season? Is it going to get us the holding midfielder that we were so desperately crying out for? And if Dean Smith had nothing to do with signing, then he's somewhat culpable. And thirdly, is it going to solve the injury crisis? And if the answer to all of those three is no, then what are we doing sacking him? Because the options that are out there instead at the minute, in my opinion, as you've just said yourself, aren't as good as what we've just had gone. And I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm not going to spend the whole of this podcast defending him. It hasn't been great. We have been steadily getting worse every week. Yeah. The defence hasn't been great. We can't string passes together. And when this many of the players in one system are all out of form and not playing well, then that does hint to something not being right in the coaching room. But things like this don't turn overnight. A manager doesn't overnight wake up one morning and not know how to manage a football team, or not know how to get the best out of these group of players that he's brought on leaps and bounds over the last 3 years. And it was always going to take a lot more than 5 games for me to turn on him. And I'd hoped that the board would think the same, and they haven't. And I just honestly hope, for their sake and the players' sakes, that they can turn this round and get the right managerial appointment right. Otherwise, I do worry that this season could go badly and go toxic in a way that never would have happened under Dean Smith.
Could have done any better, really. That was spot on.
Round of applause.
I think that was absolutely spot on, mate. I think the problem we've got here is that I think also the players have let him down. I know we've got injuries. There's in the market we probably didn't move as well as we should have, but the players have let him down. They're not performing. I think in the last few weeks, his selections have probably been. I mean, I won't talk about Al Ghazi on Friday, but I think his selections probably in the last month in games where we've lost are the selections that I would have picked, and probably the strongest team available. But some of the individual performances that I've been seeing have been poor, and it does point towards the direction that he did lose that dressing room a little bit, because I say lose the dressing room, but it lost its identity. We had no game plan on Friday. I saw no real football being played in the last month. If I'm being quite honest with you, we were poor. And I think he knew it as well. And I think he was coming out in press conferences and saying things that I don't think he would usually say, to be honest.
Yeah.
I now know why, though.
Absolutely.
The reason, because in the past, when we've been playing poorly, he would come out and he wouldn't have a go at like, individual players. He'd be honest about a poor performance, though. The reason why he hasn't been doing it is because he knows if he was knocking the players, he was going to get sacked, and ultimately they've ended up doing that anyway. I think he was protecting himself in the last month of his interviews to make sure that the dressing room didn't get any more toxic than what it probably was, and it's clear to see now. In terms of the bloke himself, absolute respect from me. The turnaround job over the last 3 years is phenomenal. The best that we've seen in our lifetimes as Villa fans. Up there with Graham Taylors and Ron Saunders, fantastic. And I think, I've never known an away end where I think at the end of the game, when you saw him kind of shake hands with the coaching staff, kind of applauding the fans, you kind of knew it was going to happen in a way. But I didn't hear one person scream for him to go. It's probably the most, from a fan's point of view, it's probably the biggest sacking I've ever seen where the fans just didn't want it, but they kind of knew it had to happen. Like Will said, would he have turned it round? Obviously, we'll never know, but the stats don't lie. You've lost your last 5. You've lost the most games in the Premier League this calendar year. And we have lost our touch a bit, unfortunately, but I think a lot of that is down to the players.
Yeah.
I really do.
I don't think this group of lads are as good as everybody thinks they are. You've got to remember, we finished 17th the season before last, with Tyrone Mings, Matt Targett, Nakamba, El Ghazi, players like that.
Yeah.
That are Keenan Davis off the bench.
Louise.
Players that are there starting on Friday night. And if after all of this time, Dean Smith is responsible for the recruitment that has meant that the players that were starting the year we finished 17th are still starting on Friday, then he is ultimately responsible. But me speculating, and from what I can see from the outside looking in, I don't think it is. I think a lot of it is to do with the board thinking that we're a lot better than we are, that the Johan Lang, the sporting director, and the recruitment that's coming at the club not being as good as we think it is, not measuring it and realising that things can't happen overnight. Perstow coming out and saying that he was disappointed that we blew Europe last season. We finished 17th with a point. If Watford had beaten Arsenal, we'd have gone down.
And also, I don't want to be seeing any comparisons to West Ham. That's just a freak.
Yeah.
They're a team who are banging form and they've just clicked at the right time. But you can't compare us to West Ham because how often does that happen? It doesn't. So that needs to go in the bin straight away.
David Moyes was under serious pressure at one point under West Ham. That didn't happen. He didn't come in and hit the ground running and never ever halt at any moment. It's been continuous progression under Dean Smith up to a couple hiccups maybe, the season we were going down, but the early remit under that one was to stay up. It's been continuous progression ever since he's been at the club, and for me it seems like it's the first sign of any real hiccup or any sustained period of pressure, and they've pushed the button to, they pushed the big red button, which I don't think really needs to be pressed this early. I don't really buy into the idea that the dressing room was against him or it was getting a bit toxic, because you forget 5 weeks ago or 5 games ago we just beat Man United at Old Trafford. I don't see how it turned so ugly. The players bottled it at Spurs away. The players bottled it with 10 minutes to go against Wolves. Didn't really turn up against West Ham. Okay, obviously the manager's got his point to blame. Let's not even think about the first half at Arsenal. Okay, first half against Southampton wasn't good enough. Came out the second half, played better. First 5 minutes was very good. First 10 minutes was very good. At what point does... it leads me on to the facts. The players come out after the sacking gets announced. They're all gutted to hear this. I don't hear an apology. You lost that man his job. When do the players take responsibility?
Absolutely.
Like Bonlahor puts on his Instagram all the fans. Fans expect loyalty from players, but they don't have any loyalty towards. When can players and managers start to expect loyalty from the fans? I didn't hear anyone at a stadium call for him to go.
Absolutely not.
That no one got on his back. Every time the fans were at a game, home or away, they were backing the team.
Absolutely.
There was absolutely, and Grealish commenting as well. Yeah, exactly. Fair play. Nail on the head. Fuck off.
Just a
Do you know what I
fucking
mean?
classic
There
duo
was-
that are probably texting each other.
Agbonlahor, I know you. Obviously, lots of people love him. Reece, you absolutely adore Agbonlahor. I think he was one of the most toxic players to wear over the shirt in the last decade.
I just can't stand Small Leaf though. That's why I love him.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But I just think that there was just look what's out there. You look at the list. Steven Gerrard, okay, done all right in his first season at Rangers. He's nowhere near as qualified as Dean Smith was when he came to our club. Who else is the name? Roberto Martinez? No.
The
Denmark
thing, yeah.
manager? No.
The thing is, the only thing that gives me any ease in this whole situation is this board have made one appointment, and it was Dean Smith, which was a fucking great appointment.
Yeah.
When you look back,
Absolutely.
that was an absolutely looking back one of the best appointments we've made in years, probably the best appointment made in my lifetime. So that's the only thing that gives me any comfort. They've made one appointment in the past, and it was absolutely phenomenal. If they can match this next appointment with a Dean Smith, I think we've got a very exciting future. Big time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you know what? There's a lot of sentiment involved in how we're feeling, but there's no sentiment in football. It's not how it works.
No.
I've got to be honest, and also, if you look at the likes of your Chelseas and stuff like that, there's no sentiment in those clubs. They get rid of managers left, right and centre, and they still do well. So we've shown bollocks for me, but let's hope we've shown bollocks in the right way, and we get this appointment absolutely spot on.
I'm not 100% against the idea of sacking him. I was for maybe before the Southampton game, and then I kind of did think to myself, okay, it's not looking like it's getting any better. His record this calendar year, obviously post Grealish and without him when he was injured at the back of last season, was far from fantastic, far from spectacular. I don't think he had the chance with a full fit squad to see what he can actually do this season. But the bigger picture, I don't think he was really up to the standards where we should like. There's a few different factors in that. They've put themselves under serious pressure when I don't think they really had to. They didn't have to sack him. They could have given him other good games. They've put themselves in the firing line to make a big decision now of who they're going to get.
I don't mind sacking a manager if I think they are the biggest root cause for the problems at a football club. Whereas I get the impression a lot of people think the problems that we've had over the last few weeks start and finish with Dean Smith. All right, we've removed Dean Smith now. That's sorted. You know, I've heard some people even compare it to, stop the rot, which I just think is a complete lack of respect to Dean and what he's done. But if people think that the problems that we've got at the club, and we have got problems at the minute, are solved by replacing Dean Smith with a manager, and especially one of the managers that are getting touted at the minute, then I worry, because I think we're in trouble. But I completely hear what you lads are saying, especially you, Reece, when you say that these owners and the board have made one appointment so far, and it has been the best decision that I've seen the club make in 10 years. So you've got to be optimistic, and I think, in a few days I will be, and I'll get completely behind the new manager. But the problems that have developed over the club over the last few weeks, I don't think we're predominantly down to Smith, if I'm being honest. So people expecting, it all to be solved and things to be fine and dandy post-Smith, I think are pissing in the wind a bit.
Yeah. The team performance as a whole obviously wasn't the most free-flowing, wasn't the most attacking team, but we didn't have a full team to collect from. The individual performances where the player themselves has to take a bit of pride in their own performance and responsibility for their own performance haven't been good enough. Tyrone Mings hadn't been good enough. His leadership had been really questionable. As Riconza got his red card, it's a strange one, tough decision. Courtney Howe's could have got a red card. Matt Targett's been a shadow of what he was last season. Matty Cash has been okay. Martinez has had his struggles off the pitch. You can go around and make a case for every single player.
Well, you can go around. You can also go around and go back in time and say what happened at the start of the transfer window. We signed Bundia, and then we went silent until Grealish got his word and was on his way. We waited until literally the last possible moment to make sure that we had no pre-season, basically.
Well, I think
injured players, this, that, and the other. We didn't have a full squad. We didn't have half of the squad that we wanted.
Bailey got in the building a day before the first game of the season.
I think we lost a lot of characters in that summer as well, and it's gone unnoticed. We didn't replace Tom Heaton. Neil Taylor and El Mohammadi left the club, so did Conor Hurahan, and you can say what you want for their ability as Premier League players, but you can't underestimate the character and leadership that they brought to the team.
Coaching staff as well.
O'Kelly, Terry.
So much for what should have been a summer of stability and just one or two neat and tidy, additions, it turned into a summer of absolute chaos,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
none of
really
it was
did.
Dean Smith's fault.
Nah, it wasn't.
Absolutely.
The only thing you can think of now, because like you say, we need to. The backroom staff kind of it took a hit. We've missed two big personalities in Terry and O'Kelly. We've lost the three experienced lads that you've just mentioned there. The only person you could think of, it probably wasn't even in the question of ever being a realistic target for us, for someone like a Conte that would just come in and just grab everyone by the scruff of the neck. He's all his Italian brigade coaching staff as well with him. And just to smash some heads together and just demand 100% respect, 100% intensity, 100% of the time. Obviously, he's on the Spurs, but that kind of name, we need that kind of name for people to come in and to put a rocket up their arse, really.
Yeah. You want people to. Whoever this appointment is, you want people to stand up and be like, Christ almighty, the Villa mean business then, don't you? It needs to be like, all right, fair play. I want to be sitting there thinking, how have we done that? That's the level we need. We can't be doing someone like Martinez, who, for me, has been in the Premier League been average at best. We need someone who's going to we need someone who's going to come in. The player's going to look at it and think, Jesus Christ, I've got to step it up here.
I want a reminder we're back on track, because we've lost our best player and our a brilliant coach in the last 3 years. And if we're not careful, we start to lose sight of where we were going. You're right, Reece. We need, for me, I'll get called deluded. A Simeone and Eric Ten Hag. It's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen, but it's got to be that wow factor for me.
It has to be. It's got to be someone that exactly. We need to send shockwaves, because we need to show what we're about here. I don't know. That's the only worrying thing for me at the moment. I'm not 100% against the idea of sacking him. I don't agree with it. I didn't want it. Yeah. But if I was preaching Project Bigger Picture last week, you can even take that in this way, because if you look at what he was doing this calendar year, it wasn't great. What you can expect, it can't really be. He was probably at the same level of expectancy as what you would expect. If you ask any kind of pundit at the moment, I don't think anyone would have said. They don't back anyone to sack. They don't back managers to be sacked or anything. But I don't think any pundit would ever say he deserves to go next, or look at him and saying he's doing a bad job at the moment. I feel like we were where we were at, and it was probably a decent position to be in, like, considering where we'd come from.
About last season?
I think as a whole, where we are now, and we've lost. As I said, we've lost what we've lost from the backroom staff, from the players. Experienced Ted, the most influential player that we've had probably in our history for a whole team. I think we would probably bat him in the right order.
You're absolutely right. You're forgetting, like you say, we've lost our most influential player in our whole history. Nail on the head, because we're following that up with signing players that haven't had a run of games. The three signings haven't had a run of games, apart from Danny Ings. He played 7 games and then
he's not even got going yet.
I'm sure we've all read Smith's letter to he put it out there. I won't ask you to read it out, Sam, because I know you can't read. But he kind of alluded to the fact that his remit was, when he came here, was the first 2 seasons gets promoted. He overachieved, done in the first. Yeah. In that second season where we were supposed to get promoted, he kept us in the Premier League. In the third season, he's done okay. We've pushed on, but we should only be surviving in that. He was always ahead of schedule. Yeah. We went backwards within the first 11 games of his his fourth season.
Yeah, don't call it that. Yeah.
11 games. I don't agree with the decision, but as you say, if we can get this next selection right in terms of manager, then it could be the best decision that we've made. But I just don't see who that man is.
I think on the front of it, it does show ambition. But I'll let you know if I think that when they announce the next man. Because if they announce someone who's serious, and I look at it and go, wow, then that's ambition. If they appoint someone like I keep bringing back to like a Martinez, or this bloke who's the Denmark manager who's got a shocking club record, then it's not ambitious, is it?
No.
It's panic state. For me, that for me is panic state.
The thing is, it's hard. It's going to be very difficult to make us feel like that it's ambitious, because who the hell are you going to get that's ambitious unless you tout someone from a half decent club and they're like, bloody hell, I want to jump on board of this. Because at the moment we ain't someone that you want to jump on board on.
We need someone who can cope with the Aston Villa name and who doesn't underestimate it, because there's been a lot over the years of people who've come to Aston Villa not knowing enough about the club or enough how big it actually is from the inside, and they've shrunk really, and they've done. Martinez gets announced as Villa manager, if that Agbonlahor that we've seen in the second half of his career, he'd be rubbing his hands. That is a soft touch.
Yeah.
We can't have a soft touch come in and try and be too nice. We need someone who's going to come in and bang heads together.
They're filling big shoes as
They
well.
are,
They've got to take on the pressure of really, for every single manager in my lifetime that's come in, bar McLeish probably, you thought, glad to see the back of the last one. He's got a fresh start. I'm going to give him a back in. Someone like Martinez walks in through the door, or Lampard, or someone like that. You kind of thinking you're underwhelmed, aren't you?
A weird joke.
Yeah, and if they lose the first couple, or they don't solve anything, it could get sour. And the other one that I'm hearing isn't going away is Hasenhüttl. He's a mid-table Premier League manager. He's
bottom half.
Yeah, bottom half manager. He's lost as many games this calendar year as Dean Smith. And people are saying, he's this brilliant coach, he's doing X, Y and Z. We don't know what goes on training grounds. No one knows he's a great coach.
He's actually taken them backwards to where they were.
Yeah.
It's got to be a Champions League manager for me. Someone with Champions League experience, and preferably one managing in the Champions League at the minute that we go and...
Or just someone who's won major honours.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be someone like that. It can't be someone who's unproven. It's going to have to be someone who you look at and go, fair play. Like, I want to be laughing at on that shot.
Exactly.
It needs to be that level.
Exactly. I want Danny Ings excitement again.
Seriously, where you're like, wow, how have we done that? The other thing I will say is, I think I've always thought that when we get rid of Dean Smith, that's the next thing that we'll do.
That's the next step.
I've always said, if we get rid of Dean Smith, it'll be because we've got someone who is an absolute ball of a manager, and I hope that's the case, to be honest.
Fonseca comes in, I'm going to be... I'll shut the podcast down.
Yeah, he doesn't excite me. He's been linked with every single job under the sun, and he hasn't.
Bit of a tart, isn't he?
Didn't even get the job.
Exactly.
And we're going to give Steven Gerrard his audition for the Liverpool job.
Exactly.
He's won one trophy in 9 up in Scotland.
The one thing I will say about the Gerrard thing is that he's the one manager who I think could be a risk, but if it went right with him, it would go really well. I know what you're saying, Brett, in terms of his audition for the Liverpool job. Use and abuse us, don't care. If someone wants to use us and have us pinned down, and I'll tell you what, use me, get me into Europe, fine, don't care. You use me.
You have got
play
a point.
With me.
You have got a point.
Play with the Villa.
Play with the Villa. You have got a point. If he wants to use it as an audition and it gets us up there,
do you want?
and then he uses us as a step, but we would actually also use him.
Yeah.
Because it would work both ways.
It would, wouldn't it?
We would be using him as a stepping stone.
Big risk.
If it works.
It's like a loan signing from a Champions League, basically. Isn't it?
If it works, because he's still only
proving
it.
Exactly right. If it works, because what has he done? He's
still
winning the Scottish League.
And to be fair to him, it took him a while to get it going at Rangers as well. It took him 3 seasons to get him to where he wanted to be. And to be fair, look, he has turned the shit round at Rangers.
Celtic dropping off. I know I'm being a bit negative,
but that didn't happen overnight with Gerrard, and he got time to sort that out. Putting him in the middle of a season to turn it round we are in a scrap. It's a completely different scenario.
Where do you lads feel about putting somebody in until the end of the season?
Well, then stick with Dean Smith. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. I'm just. What do you think?
You know what? I wouldn't be adverse to it, but it depends on the market in the summer as well, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah.
What's going to change?
Sherwood.
What's going to change between now and the summer?
No, yeah.
You're just throwing the dice there.
Everything could change. You know, everything could. It's what is. I mean, you could end up. You could see Pochettino leaves. You could see Simeone announces he's going to leave Atletico. I mean, these are names that probably we can't really approach.
Could come available.
Someone like
that.
Not that I'd have Mourinho. But it's unrealistic names. But these are the names that the only names that excite me, and the only real names that is the right for our next step. We need that kind of name. We need to surprise people. We've done it before in the past.
Yeah,
we need to do it again. And Langer and Purslow, they put themselves under massive pressure to get it right. It is a decision that I don't think had to be made.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to back it, aren't we? I think it's one of those ones where everyone feels uncomfortable about it, realistically. But you're just going to have to trust this board to make the right call. And to be fair, I didn't want Dean Smith, and they got that absolutely bang on, so you're probably best not listening to me.
I think, well, you know what, it's going to be another conversation next week, isn't it? We'll see where we are next week. We don't know where we are. We're just pissing into the wind at the moment, aren't we? Nobody really knows. We're obviously behind the curtain.
I want someone in by the end of the week, though. You know, because the
weekend. You got till the
you're gonna have
weekend.
to, aren't you?
They pulled the trigger. I'm half expecting somebody to have the shirt, you know, at the back end of this week at the latest. You look at how efficient and clinical Spurs were. They decided that it wasn't working with Nuno. The next day they've got Conte at the training ground.
Exactly.
It's got to be that level of efficiency now. And you know, who knows what's going on in the back room of the Belfry at the minute. You know, something could be happening.
Yeah.
We just don't know. But if this drags on and we have a repeat of what's gone up north in Newcastle, you know, it's took them 3 weeks to appoint Eddie Howe.
That
you know,
would be embarrassing.
Then we're in trouble.
Yeah, I don't want that Emery either.
No.
I don't want us to
You
become.
see, I would. I think I'd take someone like Emery. I think I would. I'd take. I don't think he'd leave Villarreal after the flirting that he's had with Newcastle.
Yeah.
But someone like that for me, I think would represent progress. Maybe not necessarily on Smith, but it'd certainly be an upgrade on some of the names that are out
It's
there.
calibre, isn't it?
Yeah,
He's
it's
won
calibre.
he's won the Europa League how many times?
Yeah.
It's calibre, isn't it?
It's fair.
But like I said, I just feel. I
He
don't
could
know.
probably get a tune out of us, but I'm not convinced by him. I mean,
He's your one until the end of the season.
if you get him, I'd
Get him out of Villarreal. You're here till the end of the season.
yeah, but also he's just announced. He just sent a love letter to the Villarreal fans.
Yeah,
so
that's
obviously
it.
that's-
right, okay.
I mean, the only real name like that would be Koeman, but he got a bit
Shaky
at his
record,
Everton
he
side,
did.
didn't
One,
he?
isn't he? Mid-table Premier League manager.
Exactly, and then obviously you got
Yeah.
shat on at Barcelona just then.
Yeah.
didn't they?
It's all just what it is. In the past, there's been glaring candidates, and there's not now. You know, when we got Martin O'Neill, it was just Martin O'Neill. That was it.
Yeah,
Job
yeah.
done, and we got the business done. Even with Dino, to be fair, he was probably the glaring candidate. We got it done. Paul Lambert, everyone was screaming for his name at Orange Away last game of the season. We got it done. This time, I'm like, who on earth?
I'm lost.
Yeah,
I'm
what do we do?
lost.
What do we do?
But it paves the way for us to just randomly get that big name, really.
It does, doesn't it? We've never been in a position before where we can do that, though. For the teams in the past who were in the league, 16th, 15th, something like that, we would never be in a position to attract a big name. I now believe that we are, just because the stature of, not the club, because the club's always been big, but the stature of the project that we've got behind us.
Yeah.
I think we have got it in the locker to do something a bit different.
Yeah, definitely.
And appoint that big name.
You've seen a lot of clubs in and around the position that we're in. Premier League pull alone as well.
Yeah.
Because the Premier League, you can attract, managers do want to come in, managers do want to apply their trade here. You've seen, like a Newcastle get a Rafa Benitez, even though I don't think that's particularly massissive. I'm struggling to think of
Everton,
of big ones.
Ancelotti. And
Everton,
it can be
exactly.
He's
Yeah.
in the same position as us. 6
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they go and bring Ancelotti in. I mean, he was available at the time, and I think all the top managers are in work at the minute. There's no top world-class manager that's sat there with their feet up at the minute.
No.
You know, it was
Where's
constant.
Ancelotti now?
Where's Zidane as
Real
well?
Madrid.
Real Madrid.
Well,
Where's Zidane?
Zidane's free.
He's a name, isn't he?
I mean,
He's a name.
he'd come and bang a few heads together.
definitely
But
bang a few.
his coaching roles at the moment have been probably the best team in the world.
Yeah,
so
he relied on Ronaldo.
Yeah,
and not,
he's
didn't
out
he?
of work at the
Yeah.
minute. But how much has he relied on individuals? And
Oh,
I mean, don't get me wrong. We're not in a position to
Odds
turn
on
it.
United manager, that's why.
That's what. He's
But a
got.
lot of it is just that. A lot of it just comes down to straight, influence.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest, I reckon that's half the reason why Paddy's are doing so well. I reckon they've looked at Patrick Vieira and thought, fuck me, what a player.
Yeah.
Demands respect of the team,
Yeah,
and he's got them playing. I think, the only problem with that is you do end up getting caught out because it does come down to coaching at the end of the day, doesn't it? But a big name along those lines is someone who's been there, done it as a player, but also a manager, won Champions Leagues. That's the sort of level I'm talking about.
I want Zidane now.
Zidane, get him in.
You
He's won
decided
3 Champions Leagues on a bounce. Get him in.
I heard he was at the Belfry before he was playing golf.
But that's the sort. I want someone who's got
No, that was just
calibre in the
O'Kelly.
game. That's what we need.
And
do you know what I mean?
Mancini was the one that I was thinking yesterday with the Platin as number 2, someone like that. But we're dreaming, aren't we?
dreaming,
It's
aren't
not
we?
going to be. It's,
Yeah.
I don't normally believe the betting odds, but I can't see past the shortlist that's come out today of the Danish bloke. And
You're usually excited, aren't you?
Yeah.
When you lose a manager, you go,
Yeah.
"Oh, we know we're gonna.
Yeah.
This is that. We're finally
Yeah.
getting away
This
from
is horrible.
what we were wanting
Yeah.
out for so long. We didn't really want him out, and you look at we didn't want him out, and you look at what's available. There's nothing fucking there.
It's depressing.
And what's success for the bloke that comes in? Is he meant to get us Europe, or is he just meant to keep us up? Or what? What
Yeah.
defines a good season
if the
for us
remit
now?
is for him just to keep us up or just to get a steady mid-table, then we may as well just give it Smith to the end of the season and just parted ways,
Yeah.
with mutual respect,
the
I
more-
suppose. But look, they've made the decision now.
It's done now, innit?
We can try and get a little bit excited about what's to come. obviously, looking what's out there. I've said it many times. I'm not excited by what it is, but let's see what happens. They've made that decision in the past, and it's been the best that they could have made at the time, and we got to trust them. Do we want to speak about the Southampton game?
Well, that was the question that was coming. Southampton. Is there much point?
He got him sacked, so that's end of discussion.
I think it's gone from being, talking point to irrelevant. What's happened since?
Yeah.
You can speak about individuals rather than the actual performance.
There was no midfield.
No.
There was no midfield, and to be fair, he got desperate. He was throwing on strikers left, right, and centre. It was desperation.
Why aren't players still fit? Buendia was just starting to get a hold of the game, and he comes off with cramp after 70 minutes.
It's really poor.
It's poor.
It's November now.
It's shocking.
And he's been away with Brazil, so he's trained constantly. Argentina. Sorry.
But I
I was thinking about Douglas Luiz.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's just it's frustrating, isn't it? To be honest with you,
El Ghazi,
just awful, isn't it?
He could have been sent off.
Yeah, he's just terrible.
He could have been sent off. He had a yellow card. Then straight after his first yellow card, he pulls someone back for a yellow card challenge, gets away with one, and then dives. Did you see his dive?
Yeah, his dive was terrible.
He dived, and then the only reason he's got away with it is because he didn't look up and appeal for it. He just got straight back up. It was the worst dive I've ever seen. It was really a lacking of disciplined performance by quite a few players.
And then second half, he missed a sitter.
But
for me,
like Brett said,
he blasted it over the bar.
Yeah. Like Brett said, you rely on El Ghazi. I got him pissed on Saturday. Watched player final. He had a great game. That's 3 years ago. Yeah, and he's still playing in the village.
Yeah, saying that. I mean, his shot was deflected, and
he had a great game that day.
And it went off his shoulder. And
he had a good game.
He had a decent.
What I'm saying, these are players who we should have moved on from, and that's it's no fault of our own. It kind of is a fault of our own because these players are still in the squad. But that's how long it takes to change a team and roll it round. It doesn't happen overnight. So. It's just really frustrating.
There was just one too many of those average players on Friday.
There was.
You're looking at this as a game for Smith to save his job. Martinez called it a cup final, and you're going into it with El Ghazi, Nakamba, target after the season that he's had. It's not great.
Even Twanzebe, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm getting a bit bored of his performances. Shell of a player he was.
That was a sentimental signing, and a club that progresses would have looked at last summer, thought we've had a really good season with the defence. But who can we go and upgrade on? Who can we come in and cover for? You look at West Ham, they had a great... We shouldn't compare ourselves to West Ham, I know, but their centre-halves were brilliant last season. And David Moyes has gone, you know what? As good as Dawson and Diop and Ogbonna are, we're going to go and get Kurt Zuma because that's progression.
What a signing.
We're not going to go and get Ashley... Yeah, not going to go and get Ashley Young and Twanzebe who will offer cover. We're going to go and upgrade on the players that we've got, and all of a sudden Mings becomes your cover.
Yeah, it's no disgrace to compare yourself to West Ham at the moment.
And they're four in the middle. They're four in the middle. Ogbonna, Zuma.
What a side at the moment.
Reece.
Just turned over
Rice.
As well.
Reece. And Suchet.
Got Reece in midfield.
Declan Rice will go for 100 million, and David Moyes will be sat in Dean Smith's position in a year's time. It's the way football works.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to say, I don't think Watkins is as comfortable with a new manager coming in anymore. I don't think he's been playing particularly well this season. I think his link-up play has been atrocious.
Yeah.
Well, a new manager will drop him, I think.
If a new manager comes in, plays one up top, Danny Ings, isn't it?
Danny Ings.
He's going to be, and to be honest, rightly so as well. If I'm being quite honest with you, he's going to have. I think that's the one player who's going to feel the punch of it. Is Watkins. He's going to have to work really hard to keep his place in that team because let's be honest, he was Dean Smith's favourite. They called him his kid, didn't they? Joking in the dressing room. So I think he's going to really struggle. But you know what? It might be the hiccup the RC needs because he hasn't been good enough this season.
Target as well. A new manager will come in and see Ashley Young, and he won't see him as a midfielder. He'll see him as a Serie A winning left back, and he'll think, is he better than Target? He won't. Is another one. I think Target was one of Smith's favourites, and you could tell with his post-match interview, he's gutted. So hopefully it might give some of these players a kick up the arse that they need because a few of them need it.
They do, don't they?
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm hoping that the dressing room's in a bit of a shaky way at the moment because this is on you lads.
Absolutely.
I want them to be. I want there to be a solid dressing room today for training. Whoever is back training. Thinking, geez, we've done that. We don't want people to be. I want if anything, I'd want Tara Mings to. Nice with England, but whoever's the leading captain in Bottom Reef for the minute, to put everyone together and go, lads, we've got to sort this shit out.
Who is it though? And I think that's half the
There's
problem.
no leaders at the moment. That is the issue.
I think everyone in that squad at the moment can look at themselves and say, you've done your manager in there.
Yeah.
You've done Dean Smith in there, one of the best things to happen to this club in recent years, and you've done him in. You have played your part in that downfall, because it wasn't all down to him. Obviously, he hasn't. He obviously he has to take his responsibility for what it is.
Yeah.
But those players, I'm not buying into all the tweets and the Instagram messages saying how gutted they are. You're gutted, but I haven't seen one apology for letting him down, because you've let him down there. You've done him wrong. But good luck to Dean Smith, whatever he does. I think he'd be an absolute great option for Albion or whatever. But we don't really know.
England as well.
He needs to enjoy his Christmas with his family, get on the
England,
beach. I'm sure he'll do a round of golf with John Terry. But
I always said when Dean Smith was at the Villa that I think one day there's a potential England manager in there. The last 5 games haven't changed my mind on that. We'll see what he does next, but best of luck to him. And unlike Grealish, who left in the summer, who I didn't particularly wish well, I wish Dean Smith all the best.
Just get him into the under-21
Spot
setup now.
on.
England under-21.
Spot on.
Just get him take that
He's
job
a coach.
off Southgate.
He's a coach. He improves players.
He does.
He does, doesn't he?
He would improve every single England and the 21 player in there.
Yeah, and I think another thing as well. I mean, Perzo spoke about it a couple of years ago, and he spoke about it a lot about the Villa identity. And we lost it the last month or so, but we were building that identity. I hope whoever comes in can continue that. And I mean that. I'm on about the bleeding through the youth and having, because let's be honest, Dean gave a lot of young players a chance in that team. Yeah. And I hope we don't lose that part of the club as well, which I think will be fine, because whoever comes in is going to have to fit the model.
Yeah.
They're definitely not going to get someone who goes against the model. It's going to be someone who has to fit the Villa model, because they've been banging on about it for years. So, personally, I think you'd have to say by the weekend, I want someone holding the shirt up this midweek. Whoever it is should be ready now.
It's the opportunity for the young players as well. Carney, obviously, you'd have thought would have felt hard done by not to come on in that West Ham game. He's got his opportunity now, fresh slate. He's been the most hyped kid at the club for some time. He's got his opportunity now to come in and prove his worth. So to kick up the arse for some of the players that were out, Sanson's obviously going to get he may have felt that he was hard done by after his water bottle antics at Arsenal. He's got an opportunity to show the new manager and everyone at the club what he's about. So it's a fresh start for a lot of players, and I think on the flip side of that, as we've said, some players it'll put a rocket up their arse. I don't think Mings has been good enough. I don't think Watkins has been good enough. Target certainly hasn't been good enough. So it's I'd say it's exciting times. It's important times more than anything.
Exactly. Yeah, it's important time. It can be exciting times, but at the minute, they'll come. Time will tell. For the minute, it's a little bit sad, a little bit disappointing. Time for reflection, and a time to be grateful for Dino.
Yeah. Well, I'll see you at Villa Park with a Zidane shirt in your hand.
Zizou.
But yeah, we'll see. If the new manager comes in and wins the first 2 games, all of a sudden it's game on.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah,
we just need that reaction, don't we? So let's just hope we get it right.
Yeah. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
You too.
Keep the faith.